What would happen if the symbol of power, the invincible icon of the United States Navy, were erased in the blink of an eye? Imagine the scene of USS Gerald R. Ford, a 100,000-ton floating fortress, the Pentagon's $13 billion pride, engulfed in flames and slowly sinking into the South China Sea, not because of a wolf pack of submarines, nor due to long-range ballistic missiles. It was just pierced by a single strike from a colossal entity, never before seen on any military map. From beyond the horizon, a mysterious Chinese super battleship with size and firepower far beyond intelligence estimates openly challenges the authority of the 7th Fleet. Within just a few terrifying minutes, America's 85-year maritime order officially collapses. Washington is utterly stunned. Beijing remains eerily silent. And the whole world holds its breath, awaiting nuclear retaliation. If the United States does not respond immediately, the Pacific will change hands forever. This is no longer a hypothesis. This is the 21st century's second Pearl Harbor scenario. The setting is the year, midnight in the waters east of the Philippines, right at the strategic choke point of the first island chain. The sea surface is calm as glass, but inside Combat Information Center C, aboard the supercarrier USS Gerald R. Ford, tension is razor sharp. The most powerful carrier strike group in the U.S. Navy is conducting a patrol operation aimed at deterrence and asserting dominance in response to unusual military movements. Until now, everything seemed under control, until the early warning squadron. Advanced Hawkeye sent back insane data on the long-range scanning display. A colossal signal suddenly appears from the west, cutting directly across the U.S. Fleet's course. Not a destroyer, nor a light cruiser. The radar cross-section of this target is equivalent to a moving island. It moves at an absurd speed for something of such colossal size. U.S. intelligence officers are stunned, frantically searching the NATO identification database. But it is completely futile. There is no known Chinese ship class matching this bizarre description. At the same time, the Aegis electronic warfare systems across the entire U.S. fleet begin screaming red alerts. Satellite communication frequencies are violently jammed by an enormous source of interference energy from within the thick fog along the horizon. A towering shadow slowly emerges. It blocks out the morning light. It is neither the Liaoning nor the Fujian. It is a floating steel fortress, a super battleship with a futuristic design. A massive electromagnetic railgun turret slowly rotates, locking directly onto the command tower of USS Ford. The trap snaps shut in the middle of the ocean. The sky above the USS Gerald R. Ford carrier strike group rapidly shifts from patrol status to Condition 1 battle alert. From the flight deck, the EMAL's electromagnetic catapults scream, launching 4 F-35C Lightning II stealth fighters into the air in less than 2 minutes. The American pilots, the most battle-hardened warriors of the sky, to receive orders to establish a no-fly zone and identify the unknown target. But just as they reach tactical altitude, the HMD displays of the entire formation suddenly glitch violently. The AESA radars on the F-35 seconds, once the pride of American technology, now show nothing but blinding static. The enemy is not merely stealthy, they are emitting an energy field, an electromagnetic force strong enough to fry sensors at close range. The target does not respond. Repeat, the target remains silent and is accelerating. The report voice cracks. Under the pilot's tension, number 1 echoes through the internal comms. The super battleship shows no intention of stopping. It advances like a moving mountain of steel, cutting through the waves at an astonishing 35 knots, now charging straight into the outer defensive ring of the U.S. fleet formation. The U.S. fleet commander at the CIC is forced to make the hardest decision of his career. Orders are issued for the Arleigh Burke-class destroyers USS Ralph Johnson and USS Dewey to break from escort positions, accelerating to cut across and block the monster's path. This marks the first rung of escalation. A physical confrontation at sea. The two U.S. destroyers, though armed to the teeth, appear small and fragile. When placed beside the opponent's colossal displacement, estimated at up to 80,000 tons, the U.S. 127mm naval guns rotate their barrels, locking onto the bow of the unknown vessel, broadcasting the final international warning: "Stop, or we will open fire." The response is a shocking act of provocation. From the hull of the opposing ship, rows of vertical launch hatches burst open, not missiles rising, but a swarm of unmanned aerial vehicles. Suicide UAVs spill out like a disturbed hive. They do not attack ships, but dive straight at the radar systems, SPY-6, atop the superstructures of the two U.S. destroyers, then detonate directionally. Deafening explosions echo across the open sea. Metal fragments spray across USS Ralph Johnson, reporting a total loss of air defense missile fire control. America's defensive formation has been blinded in one eye, right in the opening round, without firing a single shot. Enraged and backed into a corner, the U.S. Admiral orders a limited counterattack. The rules of engagement change, authorizing the destruction of threats. An F/A-18E Super Hornet on patrol immediately launches a Harpoon anti-ship missile toward the super battleship. The missile races in at subsonic speed, roaring just above the waves. But when it is still 5 kilometers from the target, a beam of laser light, high-intensity pale violet, flares from a secondary turret on the unknown ship. In a thousandth of a second, the Harpoon's guidance nose melts. The missile loses control and detonates harmlessly in midair. Directed energy interception technology, something the U.S. is still testing in laboratories, has now been fielded by the enemy with flawless execution. Tensions escalate to the absolute limit as the super battleship begins returning kinetic fire. A medium-caliber turret on the enemy vessel rotates, aiming directly at the stern of the destroyer USS Dewey. A dry, thunderous crack echoes out. Unlike conventional artillery fire, but the ripping scream of magnetically accelerated rounds, the projectile pierces U.S. steel armor like a hot knife through butter, completely destroying the helicopter deck and torpedo bay. Flames erupt violently. American sailors scream in chaos, struggling to contain the fire spreading toward the ammunition magazine. U.S. Navy blood has officially been spilled into the South China Sea. This is no longer an incident, this is total war. Inside the CIC of the aircraft carrier USS Gerald R. Ford, the order for a full Alpha strike is issued.
Execute Alpha strike.
The entire carrier air wing launches dozens of fighter aircraft, F/A-18E, Fs and F-35Cs. Simultaneously fire hundreds of long-range anti-ship missiles, LRASMs and smart glide bombs, toward the monster. The sky turns black with missile smoke. The sea trembles beneath the roar of jet engines. America pours the full firepower of a superpower into crushing the Challenger. But the true nightmare is only just beginning. The super battleship's defensive system activates an electromagnetic Iron Dome mode. Thousands of small caliber rounds are fired, forming a dense wall of steel, combined with wide area jamming systems, causing most U.S. missiles to lose lock and plunge into the sea. The remaining ones are engulfed by laser beams, burned apart before they can reach the ship. The largest naval strike by the United States since World War II is completely neutralized. Helplessness engulfs the entire fleet. For the first time in history, Americans realize their weapons have become obsolete before a new power. At that moment, the main turret of the super battleship, a colossal rocket cannon over 30 meters long, begins charging energy. Blue glowing capacitors run along the barrel, emitting a low, infrasonic hum, causing the chests of U.S. sailors to vibrate violently. It no longer aims at the escort ships. Each gun barrel slowly and coldly rotates to the 9 o'clock position, locking onto the largest target, the most valuable asset on the sea, the aircraft carrier USS Gerald R. Ford. Warning systems aboard the U.S. carrier scream like a death siren. Ballistic target lock, impact in 10 seconds. Close-in defense systems, phalanx CIWS, automatically swivel in desperation. Nothing can stop a 20-ton solid metal projectile traveling at Mach 7 at such close range. Time seems to freeze. The U.S. Admiral stares blankly at the tactical display, where the red dot of death flashes at the very heart of his ship. He understands that America's era of ocean dominance is about to end in an explosion. A blinding blue flash tears through space, followed by a supersonic detonation that makes the eardrums of every living being within 10 miles feel like they will rupture. The 20-ton electromagnetic round blasts out of the railgun barrel at a velocity of 2.5 times 10 to the power of 4 meters per second. No radar has time to redraw its trajectory. No interception system can react. In an instant, the projectile pierces reinforced steel plating, meters thick on the supercarrier USS Gerald R. Ford, right at the waterline. It tears through the hangar deck, destroying the system of aircraft elevator number 3 and plunges straight into the nuclear engine room. The kinetic impact of the projectile is equivalent to a heavy bunker buster bomb, but its devastation lies in the shockwave. The entire 100,000-ton giant ship convulses violently, like a toy slammed onto a concrete floor. Dozens of F-35 seconds parked on deck are hurled into the air. They collide with one another and erupt in flames. Jet fuel floods across the flight deck, turning America's floating city into a sea of hellfire. The ship-wide electrical system goes dark, replaced by flashing red emergency lights. Eerie alarms strobe through thick black smoke.
Warning.
Report.
Breach detected.
Reactor 1 has lost pressure.
Critical.
The hull has been breached with a 5-meter wide hole.
Breach detected.
Water is flooding the ammunition compartments.
Critical.
Panicked screams echo through the Combat Information Center,
We have to evacuate.
now listing 15 degrees to starboard. The U.S. Admiral, his face covered in blood from shattered glass, struggles to his feet, gripping the map table. Through the command window, he witnesses the unbelievable, the pride of the U.S. Navy being torn in half, an icon collapsing before his eyes. But Americans do not surrender easily. The survival instinct and pride of a superpower surge, stronger than ever. All units are authorized to fire at will. Destroy the target at any cost. The retaliation order is broadcast on every remaining frequency. From the deep ocean depths, 2 Virginia-class nuclear attack submarines, USS Illinois and USS Washington, reveal themselves. Having silently escorted the fleet, they launch a decisive strike. Missile tube hatches open. The captain of USS Illinois orders, his voice shaking with rage. 12 MK-48 ADCAP heavyweight torpedoes are fired in succession, forming an underwater kill net, racing straight toward the enemy super battleship's hull. At the same time, vertical launch tubes on the submarines also fire, their full load of Tomahawk Block V cruise missiles. The sea boils with white foam. This is a coordinated saturation strike from 2 vectors, air and sea, seeking a single weakness in the enemy's armor. In response, the Chinese super battleship activates an underwater active defense system, previously unknown to the world. From beneath the hull, swarms of ultra-small unmanned devices, UUVs, are launched, charging directly into U.S. torpedoes and detonating on proximity. Underwater explosions erupt into massive water columns tens of meters high, surrounding the unknown vessel. The shockwaves are powerful enough to shake both U.S. submarines. Their sonar systems are temporarily deafened, but the sheer volume of U.S. firepower is overwhelming. Two Mark 48 torpedoes managed to slip through the defensive net, slamming into the stern of the super battleship. A deep, muffled explosion reverberates from the seabed. The colossal steel monster shudders. For the first time, its mysterious armor is breached. Black smoke begins to rise from the stern. But instead of sinking, the ship seems to grow even more frenzied. The Reagan railgun turret snaps a full 180 degrees. Close-in defense machine guns unleash a storm of fire at 1,130 rounds per minute, ripping into the incoming Tomahawk missiles. In the sky, the remaining FA-18E Super Hornet pilots, despite running low on fuel, dive straight down. In a modern kamikaze-style attack, they fire all remaining HARM anti-radiation missiles and JDAM smart bombs at the enemy command tower. Willingly plunging into a dense web of air defense fire, the enemy accepts the suicidal charge. "Goodbye, my love," an American pilot screams over the radio before his Super Hornet is struck by a laser beam, exploding into thousands of fragments above the enemy turret. Burning wreckage and fuel rain down onto the deck, plunging the enemy ship into horrific chaos. The Chinese super battleship is now engulfed in fire and smoke, yet it remains terrifyingly resilient. The climax is reached as the nuclear reactor aboard USS Gerald R. Ford begins to melt down. The cooling system has completely failed after Reagan's strike. Engine room temperatures spike beyond critical limits. Abandon ship. Abandon ship immediately. The final evacuation order is issued. Thousands of U.S. sailors leap into the sea in desperation, amid oil-slicked waters and raging flames. MH-60 Seahawk rescue helicopters attempt to pull survivors from the water under stray fire. At that very moment, the Chinese super battleship charges its weapon a second time. This time it does not aim at the hull. It locks directly onto the island command tower, the brain of the aircraft carrier. The capacitors begin to wail once more, drowning out the roar of waves and human screams. The second shot extinguishes all remaining American hope. The island of USS Ford is blown completely apart. Hurled into the sea like a shattered toy, the U.S. flagpole snapping, the ultimate symbol of maritime power, vanishes beneath the raging waves. The greatest aircraft carrier in human history breaks in two. Its bow rears skyward like a colossal gravestone, before slowly sliding into the ocean abyss, creating a massive whirlpool that devours everything nearby. Sailors struggling on the surface watch their ship disappear. In their eyes is not only fear, but the collapse of a belief. The era of U.S. naval dominance ends at 5:45 a.m. in the cold waters of the South China Sea. In the distance, the two remaining U.S. destroyers, USS Ralph Johnson and USS Dewey, though heavily damaged, continue firing their final salvos in desperation, trying to shield their comrades drifting in the sea. But before them, the enemy super battleship, burned and riddled with holes, still advances relentlessly. Like an immortal reaper, continuing to bombard the final remnants of the 7th Fleet, the dawn sky is stained blood red, reflecting the devastation of the worst day in U.S. military history. As the sun rises over the South China Sea, black smoke columns from the wreck of USS Gerald R. Ford are still visible from satellite imagery. The U.S. 7th Fleet is forced to retreat to Guam, in humiliation unlike any before, ceding control of the most strategic waters on the planet to Beijing. This event does not merely sink a ship, it sinks an entire military doctrine, the doctrine of overwhelming force the U.S. spent 85 years building. Washington is paralyzed by shock. Wall Street markets collapse as trading opens. Inside the White House, the nuclear football is placed on the president's desk and opened. America faces two brutal choices: accept the loss of Pacific supremacy to preserve peace, or press the nuclear launch button to annihilate the enemy. A decision that could lead to humanity's extinction. The world holds its breath. The silence now is more terrifying than explosions. And from here, a new dark era begins, where every miscalculation can ignite. A war no one wants to face, but no one can step back from.